Hello, students. Welcome to today's lecture of NCRT Chapter 7, that is Redox Reactions. So, this is the theory part 2, in which we are going to cover NCRT section 7.2, mainly its 7.2.1. Disclaimer that you can see on your screen. So, now the learning objective. That means the objective for today's lecture, that what we will be able to understand after attending this lecture. So, after attending this lecture, we will be able to explain the mechanism of redox reactions by electron transfer process. What does this mean? This means that we will be studying the electron transfer in a chemical reaction in a detailed manner. That how the electrons are being lost or gained by the chemical species, and then how does this particular leads to the redox reactions. The next one is that you will be able to use the concept of oxidation number to identify the oxidant and reductant in a reaction. That means that you will be able to see that there would be the change in the oxidation number in the reactant in the product with respect to the reactant. What you will find there? You will find that which particular species has been oxidized, then that would be considered as an oxidant, and which particular species has have been reduced, and that particular would be considered as reductant. So we will be understanding this in detail. So the topics that we are going to cover in this section are the 7.2, the redox reaction in terms of electron transfer reactions. Then 7.2.1, that is competitive electron transfer reactions. Then there would be a problem number 7.2 of NCRT. And then there will be a summary for the whole lecture that we are going to study. We will summarize all the concepts related to the electron transfer reactions and redox reactions in a short manner. So now let's start the lecture with the redox reaction. That what is redox reaction? How can we understand it in terms of electron transfer? So if you consider the redox reaction, so the redox reactions are those chemical reactions where the atoms change oxidation numbers by gaining or losing electrons. So what does this mean? This means that when you look into a chemical reaction, mainly a chemical reaction in which the oxidation and the reduction both are taking place simultaneously. Both are taking place simultaneously. So what would happen there? First of all, the oxidation would occur in which the loss of electrons will take place. And then there would be the reduction. That means those particular electrons would be accepted by a species, and that loss and gain of electron would result in the change in oxidation number. Either the oxidation number would be increased or the oxidation number would be decreased by these gaining or losing electrons. Hence, we can conclude it that in redox reactions, there is change in oxidation number by gaining or losing of electrons. Now, let's take an example of redox reaction. So here you can look to the NCRT equation 7.12, in which there is a reaction in which sodium is being reacted with chlorine, forming sodium chloride. So here Na is being reacted with chlorine, in which Na has an oxidation number of or oxidation state of 0. While if you look over the oxidation number of Cl2, the oxidation number of Cl2 is 0. And then in the product NaCl, the oxidation number of sodium is +1, while the oxidation number of Cl is -1. So now, if we consider first of all the Na, that means in sodium, the zero oxidation state has been changed to +1. What does this is this indicating? This is indicating that there is a change in oxidation number which is positive, which means there is an increase in the oxidation number of sodium. While if you look over the chlorine, you will find that the oxidation number has been changed from 0 to -1. So what does this mean? This means that the oxidation number for chlorine in this particular chemical reaction has been decreased. And if you also look up to this reaction, you will find that there is only one electron which is being there are two electrons. How these two electrons? These two electrons are, when we have balanced this chemical reaction by writing 2Na plus Cl2 gives 2NaCl. So here there is loss of two electrons, and then there is gain of two electrons which are being gained by chlorine. So what we have concluded by looking up to this reaction, we have concluded that in this particular reaction also there is loss and gain of two electrons, which also resulted in the change in oxidation number of Na and Cl respectively. So if we consider first Na, as I have already told you that sodium gets oxidized from zero oxidation state in sodium, which is present in reactant, to +1 state in NaCl, which is present in product. While chlorine gets reduced from zero oxidation state in Cl2 to -1 in NaCl. So what we have understood over here? We have understood that the oxidation, that sodium has got oxidized while the chlorine has got reduced. Now, again in this chemical reaction, you can see that here the sodium is being reacted with half O2, which is forming Na2O, So this is a particular chemical reaction in which there is also again the gain and loss of two electrons. But here you will find the different oxidation number for sodium and oxygen with respect to the previous one. What has happened over here? Sodium, which is present in the reactant, has an oxidation number of 0, while in the product you will find that it has an oxidation number of +1 in Na2O. What I have mentioned here? I have mentioned that sodium has an oxidation number of +1 in Na2O. Now, in sodium oxide, it is an inorganic white solid compound which can also be known as disodium oxide. We can call it as disodium oxide or disodium monoxide. Now, if we look over to the O2, so in O2, O2 gets reduced from 0 in O2 to -1 in Na2O. That means we are here talking about the oxidation state of O2 in reactant and product respectively. So what we have concluded over here? We have concluded over here that in Na2O, that means sodium oxide, the oxidation number of oxygen is -2. This is because sodium is in mainly it lies in group 1, so it has typically oxidation state of +1 in compounds. So in this particular product, which is Na2O, So with two sodium atoms, the total positive charge is plus 2. The total positive charge is plus 2. So the single oxygen atom must have a minus 2 charge to balance it out and make the compound neutral. Hence, we can conclude it in a manner that so in this particular reaction again, the sodium is oxidized while the oxygen is reduced by the help of loss and gain of 2 electrons. So I hope this particular example of redox reaction is also clear to you, in which we have understood about the change in the oxidation number for the particular species that are present in reactant as well as product. So on the basis of the change in oxidation number, here you are provided with a question in which you have to justify that the reaction sodium plus H2 gives NaH, that means sodium hydride, is a redox change. So this is problem number 7.2 of NCERT redox reaction chapter. So to prove that the formation of sodium hydride is a redox change, here you are provided with some time. And after this particular time, I shall provide you the correct answer to this question in an explanatory manner. So now let's look at the solution, that how can we justify the reaction. The provided reaction, that is the formation of sodium hydride, is a redox change. So let's write this reaction with their oxidation number. First of all, if we have to write a balanced chemical equation, so what would be the balanced chemical equation? That 2Na plus H2 gives 2NaH. In this, the sodium and hydrogen, both ions are balanced. So if we write the oxidation number of sodium in reactant, this would be 0, while H2 do also have an oxidation number of 0. And this form the product NaH, in which the oxidation number of sodium is plus 1, while that of hydrogen is minus 1. Now, if we look over the Na, that means 0, 2 plus 1, while after balancing we will find there is 2 ahead of sodium in both the reactant and product. That means there is a loss of 2 electrons, and these particular 2 electrons are gained by the hydrogen. That means the sodium is oxidized while the hydrogen is reduced. Hence, we can say that the particular reaction is a redox change. While if we look over to the compound formed, that is sodium hydride, NaH. So this particular sodium hydride have a positive and negative charge over it. That means a positive charge over sodium and the negative charge over hydrogen, which is making it an ionic compound. So this can also be represented as that 2Na gives 2Na positive plus 2 electron. That means there is a loss of 2 electrons, and this loss of electron is considered as an oxidation process. While if we look over to the reaction of hydrogen, so hydrogen do gain 2 electrons, then form 2H negative, and this particular gain of electrons is considered as a reduction reaction. So these are the two aspects of redox change in this provided chemical reaction. The first one is the oxidation one, while the second one is reduction. And hence, what we can conclude by it? We can conclude that in the above reaction, the sodium is getting oxidized while the hydrogen is getting reduced. And hence, the provided reaction can be considered as a redox change because the oxidation and reaction are taking place, the oxidation and reduction reaction are taking place simultaneously. I hope this question is clear to you. Now, moving ahead to the topic competitive electron transfer reaction, which is 7.2.1. So, what is electron transfer reactions? First of all, we must know about it, and then we can relate it with the redox reaction to understand this topic completely. So, the electron transfer reactions, these are the particular reactions, or we can consider it in a process manner, like electron transfer is a process where electrons move from one atom or molecule to another. So, what we can understand by this line? We can understand that if we consider a reaction in which the reactant is being converted to the product. Now, in the reactant, the electrons do lose electron. One of the reactant do lose electron, while the another one get gained, while the other one gets these particular electrons. Hence, what is happening over here? The one particular species is losing the electrons while the other one is gaining the electrons. So, we can say it in a simple manner that electrons are moving from one atom or from one molecule to the another atom or molecule. So, now to understand this electron transfer process, that how is this process happening? So, we will be considering 3 examples here, which I will be telling you one by one. First of all, the main reason is that why we are taking an example to consider the processes. So, in this lecture till now, we have understood that the electron transfer is taking place in a chemical reaction, which are the part of oxidation and reduction, which are making the reaction as a redox reaction. But how these particular reactions are being lost or gained? Have we ever thought that why these 2 electrons get removed from one, or why do an element loses its electrons and then the other one gains it? So we can understand it by taking an example or by doing a practical example. Like by our eyes, we do see the rusting of iron, and hence we can easily relate it with the oxidation. Like if we look to the iron plates or the iron rods which are placed in the moisture, we will find that this particular iron rod is being oxidized because there would be a rust layer that would be deposited over it. So in the same manner, to understand the electron transfer process, we will be considering an example. The first example is that the reaction between metallic zinc and aqueous copper nitrate. That how the reaction in between these 2 substances or compounds they do take place. The one is metallic zinc while the other one is aqueous copper nitrate. Here in the provided image, you can clearly see there is a beaker which is filled with a solution of blue color, and there is a rod placed over it. So what you will see here, that the rod is of zinc. The rod is of zinc which is placed in a copper nitrate solution which is of blue color. Okay, we know the color of copper nitrate solution, that is blue. Now, after some time, you will find that some change has been taken place in the beaker, and that particular change can be noticed in a manner that the color of copper nitrate solution is started fading. That means the intensity of the blue color is now reduced, while on the zinc rod you will find a brownish deposition to that part which is dipped into the solution. So what is this signifying? This is signifying that there is some reaction that has taken place in the solution that has been resulted in the reduction of the intensity of blue color, and some deposition of brown color deposition over the rod. So by this we can understand it in a manner that there has been some exchange of ions that has been taken place. That means some of the ions must have been exchanged in between these two different elements, that are zinc and copper nitrate. Then only this change would be observed. And finally, what would happen? You will find that in the final stage that the blue color would completely get vanished, and there would be a brown color deposition, brown colored some substance that would be deposited over the zinc rod. So this is the reaction that has taken place between zinc and aqueous solution of copper nitrate occurring in a beaker. So what we can conclude it over here? We can conclude that there is some brown substance that has been deposited on the zinc rod, and this particular reaction has also resulted in a clear solution, which was previously of blue color. Hence, we have concluded over here that when zinc rod and copper nitrate solution was placed in a beaker, there must have been some exchange of ions that has been taken place. So, what are our observations? That the intensity of blue color decreases as we are moving from initial state to intermediate stage and then to the final stage. The intensity of blue color decreases. And why is this happening? This is happening due to the decrease in Cu positive ions. How can we understand it? So, if you consider the initial state, so in the initial state there is zinc, that is Zn, and there is copper nitrate solution, that means CuNO3 whole twice. So, in this copper nitrate solution, the copper is present in its +2 oxidation state. So, copper is present in its +2 oxidation state. So, there must have been some exchange or loss of electrons which have been gained by any another compound, which resulted in the provided result. So, we can understand this decrease in the copper positive ions with the help of the reaction taking place in between zinc and copper nitrate solution. So, we can look over to the reaction by writing it in a manner that is zinc plus Cu2 plus gives Zn2 plus Cu. So here I have written just Cu2 plus because the exchange of ions is being taking place, as the brown color deposition is also of copper. So if you look over that in the solution of copper nitrate, so there is CuNO3 whole twice, in which the copper is present in Cu2 positive state, while zinc is present as Zn. So in the reactant, zinc is present in 0, while the Cu2 plus is present in +2 oxidation state. So the copper, what does the copper do? And the zinc do? Zinc loses electron, that means zinc from 0 converted to Zn2 plus, while copper, that is Cu2 plus, is gaining these 2 electrons and then being converted to Cu. So why has copper deposited over zinc? Because the zinc has been oxidized. The zinc has been oxidized while the copper has been reduced and get deposited over the zinc rod. So what are the results? That zinc is oxidized to Zn2 plus, while the Cu2 plus are reduced to Cu. The equilibrium greatly favors the product Zn2 plus and Cu. That means the formation of Zn2 plus and Cu, that means copper, do greatly favors by the equilibrium. I hope this example is clear to you that how is the reaction between metallic zinc and aqueous copper nitrate is taking place. Now, let's consider another example to understand the competitive electron transfer reactions. The example is that the reaction between metallic copper and silver nitrate solution. Metallic copper and silver nitrate solution. So, Now we are taking the rod of copper. Previously there was the copper nitrate solution and there was zinc rod, but now we have taken the copper rod and the solution is of silver nitrate. So in the example 1 and in the example 2, we know the colors of the solution. Okay. So copper rod that is of brownish color is being dipped in the silver nitrate solution, which does not have such kind of color. It is more like to be a clear solution. And when these two, that means copper rod and silver nitrate solution, are placed together for some time, so after that you will observe that a blue color will start to be deposited, blue color will start to be developed in the solution. Then after this stage also, that means after this intermediate stage also, you will find that the intensity of the blue color which was developing in the silver nitrate solution do get increases. That means in the final stage you will notice that the solution that was of silver nitrate solution is now of very blue color. That means the intensity of blue color is very nice, while that the copper that was of brown color is somewhere getting somewhere whitish, because silver gets deposited on the rod. So this is about the redox reaction that is taking place in between the copper and aqueous solution of silver nitrate. So what are our observations? Our observations is that if we consider the intensity of blue color from the initial stage to the final stage, we will find that the intensity of the blue color increases. And why has this happened? This has happened because of the increase in the Cu2 positive ions. Because of the increase in the Cu2 positive ions. Now in this example of metallic copper and silver nitrate solution, in which the intensity of blue color has been increased and the silver rod deposited on the rod, how can we understand it in a chemical reaction manner? So the reaction would be that has been taken place in this beaker. Cu plus 2Ag positive gives Cu2 plus 2Ag. That means the copper which was present as the reactant has now been converted to Cu2 positive by the release of 2 electrons or by the loss of 2 electrons. While if we consider the Ag positive, so in this the Ag has gained these 2 electrons and then made 2Ag. So what we can understand it here? We can understand that the copper is oxidized to Cu2 positive, while the Ag positive is reduced to Ag. And in this particular chemical reaction, the blue color appears. In the final stage, there is blue color. So why has this appeared? This has appeared because of the formation of Cu2 positive ions in the solution. As there is more deposition of Cu2 positive ions, so there is more intensity of blue color. And the equilibrium in this particular chemical reaction greatly favors the products that are Cu2 positive and Ag. Greatly favors the product Cu2 positive and Ag. That's why the blue color got intensified and the silver deposited on the rod. So from the examples 1 and 2, we have concluded that there are some elements which would get oxidized and reduced with respect to the another element which is present with them. Like in the previous example, there was copper nitrate solution and there was the rod of zinc, in which the zinc was oxidized, while in this solution there is copper rod and which is dipped in silver nitrate solution, in which the copper is oxidized. That means it depends upon their power, it depends on their activity. We will make it in a manner that it depends on their activity, of their reducing and gaining of their oxidizing and reducing nature. That means the loss and gain of electrons. So now in this example 3, there is the reaction of metallic cobalt and nickel sulfate solution. So what does the happen between the metallic cobalt and nickel sulfate solution? The cobalt and Na2 positive do react with each other, and cobalt converted into CO2 positive, while the nickel 2 positive gets converted to nickel. That means the cobalt has lost 2 electrons, which has been gained by the nickel 2 positive and converted into nickel. That means there is loss and gain of 2 electrons that is taking place simultaneously in the reaction. So from the example 1 and 2, we have concluded about the activity as we knew about their colors. But now, if we consider the reaction between metallic cobalt and nickel sulfate, here we do not know any color about the solutions or about the typical metallic cobalt and nickel sulfate that we have considered over here. But if we look into the chemical reaction, it can be easily find that cobalt has lost the electrons while nickel has gained them. So these are the observations that cobalt, which is present in solid state, has been oxidized to cobalt 2 positive, which is present in now in aqueous state. And the nickel 2 positive, which was present in the aqueous state, has now been reduced to nickel, which is present in solid state. So what are the results to this example? The results are that both Na2 positive and CO2 positive ions are present in the solution. Because into the solution, they are both Na2 positive and CO2 positive. While neither the reactant, that means CO and Na2 positive, nor the products, that means CO2 positive and Ni, are generally favored. So both these, let me repeat this line again because this line is very important to understand the concept of electron transfer, that neither the reactants, that is CO and Ni2 plus, nor the products, that is CO2 positive and Ni, are greatly favored. So I hope this particular is clear to you, that what has happened in this particular chemical reaction. So now what we can see here, what we can understand by this reaction or by these 3 examples that we have studied till now, we can understand it in a manner that there is a competition for the release of electrons, that there would be a particular species that would release the electron and then those electrons would be gained by the another one. That means this competition for release of electrons incidentally reminds us of the competition for the release of protons among acids. Like in acids also, there is like a release of protons, that which acid would release the protons first. That means there must be a tendency of the metals also to release the electrons. There would be a tendency of metals also to release the electrons. So what we should do? We should make a comparison between metals, that which metal is more reactive or which metal is the one which would lose the electron first. In which one the one species get oxidized or in the one which one get reduced. So we have concluded over here that the zinc releases electrons to copper. In the first case, zinc releases electrons to the copper, while in the second example, copper releases electrons to silver. And therefore, the electron releasing tendency of the metals is in the order of zinc, is in the decreasing order of zinc, then copper, and then silver. That means zinc has the highest tendency, then the copper, and then the silver. So how can we assign this? We can understand this that by the metal activity series or the electrochemical series, as we have understood it in the electrochemistry chapter, here where we have looked over to the electrochemical series. in which they were assigned on the basis of their reduction potential and etc. things. So, the competition for electrons between various metals help us to design a different types of cells by which we have made the galvanic cell, electrochemical cells, and etc. Because now we know that which would first lose the electron and then the another one which would gain the electron. So I hope now this is clear to you that how is the competitive electron or how is the electron transfer taking place in between the reactant and which particular would get oxidized and which would get reduced. So this is all about the competitive electron transfer reaction, that is example 1, example 2 and example 3. So now in this lecture what we have studied about mainly the redox reaction in terms of electron transfer reaction. We have understand the oxidation and reduction also on the basis of electron transfer. Then we have understand the competitive electron transfer reactions by the help of 3 examples in which we have considered the 3 different examples of the first one was the redox reaction between zinc and aqueous solution of copper nitrate solution. Why? The second one was between copper and aqueous solution of silver nitrate, while in the third one we have considered the example of cobalt and nickel 2 plus. So now let's summarize all the concepts that we have studied till now. The first one is that the redox reactions transfer electrons between the species. That means in between the species that are present in the reactant and in the product, the transfer of electrons takes place. We can understand it by taking an example of HCl. This is a very basic example. We are taking here the formation of HCl. That how has this HCl been formed? So, we have taken here the H2S, that is hydrogen sulfide, and chlorine as the reactant, and chlorine as the reactant. And what has happened here? So, in this reaction, the oxidation and reduction both has taken place, as chlorine is the electronegative element which is being attached to hydrogen, and also in if you look over to the H2S and S, so the sulfur was present with hydrogen firstly, while now it is present alone. Hydrogen has been removed from it, which makes it to be oxidized. While if we consider the oxidation number of H2 of hydrogen, sulfur and chlorine in both the reactant and the product, you will find that the hydrogen has an oxidation number of +1 in reactant and in product it is +1. While if you consider the oxidation number of sulfur, which is -2 in reactant and 0 in product, that means the oxidation number has been changed from -2 to 0. That means it has increased. While if you consider the chlorine, so chlorine has an oxidation number of 0, while in the product it has an oxidation number of -1. So what does this mean? This means that in the sulfur there is increase in the oxidation number, which means the oxidation has taken place over there, while with respect to chlorine there is decrease in the oxidation number, that means the reduction has taken place. And the compound which has been oxidized would be considered as a reducing agent, while the particular element or compound which has been reduced would be considered as the oxidizing agent. So I hope now the electron transfer reactions are clear to you, that redox reactions transfer electrons in between the species. Moving ahead to the explanation of this chemical reaction, that H2S is oxidized by chlorine due to the removal of hydrogen, and the chlorine is reduced by adding hydrogen to it. Hence, the provided reaction is the redox reaction. In each and every terms, now, as we have seen different examples in which we have taken the metal, in which we have considered there the metals that are being reacted in different solutions. So there is a metal displacement reactions which show the competitive electron transfer, often indicated by the visible color changes. That means if we have to understand the metal displacement reaction, so how can we understood them? By looking practically. So these metal displacement reactions show competitive electron transfer, which was indicated by the visible change in color in the examples. So what was the visible change? As in the first example, you looked that the intensity of blue color was faded, while in the another one, the intensity of blue color was increasing. So that was showing some kind of reactions that has taken place over them. So we can say that the displacement reactions, or mainly the metal displacement reactions, can also be considered as a single displacement or substitution reactions, which are the most important type of redox reaction. So in the metal displacement, the metal that loses electron more easily will displace the other metal from its compound. This is most important line here, that the metal that loses the electron will more easily displace the other metal from its compounds. For example, we have studied like the zinc strip that was placed in copper sulfate solution, and zinc atom loses electrons, that means oxidized, while the copper ion solution gains those electrons, that means get reduced. I hope this line is clear to you, that metal displacement reactions show competitive electron transfer now. Now that they are often indicated by the visible color changes. So as we have already studied the three examples, I hope this line is also clear to you, that there would be the change in color. Either the color will get intensified or the color will get totally vanished in between the chemical reactions that are taking place. Hence, we can conclude it in a manner that the visible color change in a chemical reaction is a result of formation of a new chemical species with different light absorption properties. Okay? Now, that the reaction favorability varies between the complete convergence and equilibrium systems. That the reaction favorability varies between the complete convergence that was in the zinc copper or in copper silver and the equilibrium system that was in the cobalt nickel example. In that also we have studied in a manner that the equilibrium for the reaction of zinc in between zinc and copper and silver was favored in their formation, while in the in between the reaction cobalt and nickel it was generally not favored. So by the favorability of the reaction, what we can understand? We can understand that, or it means that how much it favors the product formation. We understand it in a manner that how much it favors the product formation. This can vary significantly in between different systems, like the in between the zinc copper silver, and mainly with the cobalt nickel. Like in the case of zinc copper, if you consider, and copper silver, the reactions tend to go to completion. The reaction tends to go to completion. What does this mean? Meaning that nearly all the reactants were converted to product. And we have also understand it by while we were doing the example. While if we consider the cobalt nickel system, what we will find? We will find that the reactions often reach an equilibrium state, and at that equilibrium state, both the reactants and the products coexist in a stable mixture. They were coexisting in a stable mixture. And this difference arises from the properties, or we can say that from the inherent properties of the metals and the specific reaction conditions that were involved. So I hope now this particular is clear to you. And if we consider the nature of material, because mainly the equilibrium system or the reaction favorability is affected by different reaction conditions, and from one of them it is nature of metals. So the inherent properties of the metals, such as what would be the properties, like their tendency to gain or lose the electrons, plays the major role in determining the reaction favorability. There are also many other factors, and among them, there is the most important one, that is standard reduction potential. There is the standard reduction potential that we will be studying in the upcoming lectures. That how do this standard reduction potential, what is standard reduction potential, and how is this in between the reacting species is playing a major role in determining the extent of reaction. As we have now understand this reaction favorability by the help of example in which we have compared the color or the deposition of substance. But in the upcoming lectures, with the different examples, you will understand this, that this all depends upon the standard reduction potential of different substances. So this is all about today's lecture, in which we have had a detailed study about the electron transfer reactions. So this is a most important topic for this chapter. I hope each and every question and each and every concept is clear to you in a detailed manner. So with this, I am ending my lecture here. Thank you so much, everyone.